rise to the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great, thank you. There is an agenda adjustment. There'll be no administrative reports this evening, and the meeting is being videotaped. And now we'll go to any public comments? Sure.
All right, I just had a few things I wanted to just kind of like add, like questions or comments about the school. So I kind of consolidated down to like 5. So I'll just start with them. I wanted to kind of know why the school mandates specific uniforms for shops and sports when they don't offer proper sizing. So then kids are forced to wear uncomfortable, unsafe, and demeaning uniforms or get yelled at for not wearing a proper uniform. That was the first one I had.
Okay.
I'm just gonna go through them.
Can you just state who you are?
I'm Paul Varley.
Speak into the mic if you could, so we can
Okay.
Is that better?
Okay.
Thank you, Paul.
I'm gonna go to the second one now. How can you tell parents the school is safe when your cameras can't pick up bullies vandalizing cars parked or driving out on oncoming traffic? And then the next one is, why is it you advertise a zero tolerance policy for bullying, but when informed staff seems disinterested and finds out that it's multiple cases after multiple missing days at work for meetings over a long span of time, nothing of substance is done, and staff not made aware to look out for it? To also be told, we've run it this way for 25 years, not gonna change it. Another one is, I know other people like talk to the staff outside of school, and when they talk about their prospective kids, in this case it was a 9-year-old, talking about coming here, playing sports here, and the comment from the staffer is just, well, you better be good if you wanna play there. And that's just, I don't know, it's a bad thing. And then the last one I have is, it just seems like I'm sick of, every time I mention my frustrations with the school lately, I find something new. I just saw the fight video that was a video some kid made with all the fights here at the school. And then I find out that this kid that showed me the video, he had to go to court as a kid was threatening his life to then make the school, like he had to get a restraining order to then make the school to finally get the kid to be separated from him because he was threatening his life. And then the last one was like, so I mentioned everything and so I have pictures of the uniforms for sports if anyone was interested to see the uniforms that are mandated as like okay to wear and like that's a proper size. Mm-hmm. If anyone's interested in looking at those. And then when I was showing my friend that, he pointed out that like it's just like a kind of a racially insensitive uniform where you have like the letters SS in bold font with German weapons on it, and then you got a blonde Viking up on the shoulder, and he was just like all in a huff about it. But that was pretty much it. That's all my stuff.
Okay. Well, I guess we can note these. Tom has them noted on his paper. If you have them, I don't know if you have them, I know you had them on your phone.
It was on my phone, yeah, it's all
Okay.
text. Yeah.
If you had something you wanted to hand in with your questions on it.
Could I hand it in later, or is there someone?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
All right, I'll hand those in later then.
Okay, yeah, and then we can get your questions answered, and either the superintendent can respond back, or we can take it back up in the next meeting if you want to come down. We can
And
answer your
who do
questions.
I give them to?
Probably just hand them over to Tom, to the superintendent.
Okay.
Director.
Sounds good. Thank
All
you.
right,
Amen.
all right, well, thank you.
Thank you. Make copies of the uniforms too.
Yeah, copies of, yeah.
Copy of your pictures of the uniforms, things like that. No,
I only have 2.
but no, if you
Yeah,
put
well,
those in the
hand
packet.
everything
and
in, yeah, when you hand
You
everything
know, and then
in.
we can
Sounds good.
go through it with a
Yeah.
little more.
All right, thank you.
Just so you know, we can't take anything vote under public opinion, it's just not a vote.
Yeah,
That's all, we take it up at a further meeting if do so, that's all.
yeah.
Okay.
Awesome, thanks, Paul. All right, so, thank you, Paul. All right, move on to the minutes. I asked for a motion to approve the set of minutes from the June school committee meeting.
So moved.
Motion made by Situate, second by Hanover. Any discussion? All in favor?
I abstain.
Opposed? Danny abstained, he wasn't here. Great. All right, thank you. Next, I ask for a motion for the public and executive session minutes from the June 14th Secretary Treasurer Evaluation Subcommittee meeting. Motion made by Hanover. Second by Noel. Any discussion? All in favor?
Abstain again.
Okay. Okay.
Here for that meeting, I don't know.
Okay. Those
Question-
opposed?
Question on that one?
Sure, go ahead.
Was was that negotiation or that just an evaluation? So no financial things were disclosed, so that, because that should be not released to public, right? Till all matters are discussed.
Financial was before, right?
Yes, so Bob, that was taken care of, and that was announced at a previous
Okay,
meeting,
okay,
so.
that's- I just wanted.
Thank you.
Just to cover.
Absolutely right.
Released until everything's all done. and so-
It's not often we would put an executive session on the agenda so quickly. No, very good point.
Thanks, Bob. All right, move on to the treasury report. Jim?
Thank you, Chris. In the package tonight, you have your treasurer's report. On the cover, we have a picture of Eddie Carl and his outdoor adventure group that were on doing their whitewater rafting. I am actually in the back of the boat next to Eddie. You can't see me on purpose. I just hid from the picture, but no, I can't swim, so that wouldn't have been a good trip for me. We also have some statistics that were published in the public arena through one of the various schools' social media accounts, just highlighting the co-op totals, the amount of money that the co-op students had earned over the past year, the number of placements, and the total hours worked by the individuals on co-op. And finally, recently, Liz Edmond, a student from Rockland, won a design contest on designing the logo for the Great River Race through the North River program. So again, Liz won an award and got the design. So that's tonight's cover for this month's report. Page 2 has the financial position, cash balances. Again, total cash balances as of June 30th, $5.3 million. Again, healthy, up a little bit from last year. Our OPEB account has $667,000 in that account. So again, that continues to grow. That's growing at a clip of about $1,000 per month for the interest that we're earning at the bank. So that's pretty good, along with the money that's transferred in from the budget. Page 3 is our revenue for the month of June. As I mentioned last month, we did get a final payment through through the regional transportation. Hanover paid their assessment, so all our 8 towns have paid their assessments throughout the entire year. We have earnings on the investments. Chapter 70 came in for our final payment. Again, $312,000 was received through regional transportation, and everything else is great. So a little over $900,000 of revenue during the month of June. For the total for the year of about $13,700,000. So again, on target, and about $300,000 above budget from what we had actually had expected during the course of the year. So the final page is the expenditures for the month. Payroll's a big number because of the summer payroll. Everybody gets paid monthly as we go along, and then once June hits, all the teachers' contracts, they get paid through July and August. Those numbers are reflected here in the month of June as an accrual, so that's why the payroll number is like $1.8 million, which is normally $600,000 or so, $700,000 during the course of a regular month. Other than that, we have a lot of end-of-the-year projects that were built into the system, such as some various repairs that were done within this budget. So overall, our expenses for the month were about $2.3 million. Large chunk of that, again, is related to the payroll, for a little over $12.7 million of expenses for the year. So overall, a strong financial year based upon how we performed against budget. We had about a $600,000 savings in the expense line item compared to where we expected to be from a budget standpoint. So,
Okay. Thanks, Jim. Can I get a motion for the treasurer's report?
So
Motion made by Situate, second by Whitman. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. All right. Thank you. All right, next move on to our budget transfer.
in your package, again, there's 10 budget transfers that are being requested tonight. A lot of them, again, as the end of the year comes through, where there's savings in certain line items, we also identify those savings, and then Tom authorizes the spending, overspending on various budget line items for various projects and so forth. So overall, we have transfers into the workers' comp insurance line item, in-state travel, insurance for the retirees, professional improvement, utilities, repairs and maintenance, advertising, payroll taxes, officials and police details, and the capital outlay line item. Total transfers, $147,600. They're coming from the health insurance line item, which is, again, we had a savings in that line item because Mayflower did not go up. We budget an increase from one year to the next, but the rates were stable, so we identified a savings in the health insurance line items.
Motion for the budget transfer? Motion made by Hanover. Second by Cohasset. Any discussion?
Can you tell me, why did the natural gas go up 22%?
We've, our agreement with Situate,
okay.
we've had some delays that have been fixed now with the percentage of power that we buy from them. Based upon credits that we were receiving from National Grid, we were at a 20% ratio. We've increased that to 25% because of the National Grid increase in prices. And there was just a lag on getting those, the 25% into the National Grid system. So we do have credits now that are rolling in through July, but overall there was a little gap there
Okay.
with the solar field. And again, the solar field is now like 4 or 5 years old, so it's not as producing as much as it did in the first couple of years.
Yeah.
So again, and they've been working, Situate has also been working through some issues with it as it ages and so forth with meters and pumps and so forth. So, but overall, it's still a good situation for us.
All right. Thanks, Jim. Any more discussion? All in favor? Opposed? All right, great. Thank you. And I guess we're gonna move on with the surplus revenue recommendations.
Chris on three.
Oh, I'm sorry. I jumped
On the FY19 closing,
Oh, sorry.
I want to thank Sylvia and Tricia for their hard work through the last 3 weeks of getting all of the items closed. The payroll for Tricia, getting all the lump sum payrolls that were requested by the teachers processed by the end of June. She also processed by the end of June a lot of other miscellaneous payroll items like vacations and other items, and then getting all the summer payroll squared away with the new system. She did a great job. And Sylvia getting all the end of the year purchase orders for all the projects, making sure everything was buttoned up and in the system was also it's been a busy 2 weeks in the business department, so they did a great job. Yesterday morning, I spent time with Jay Sullivan, the head of the DESC finance department. They had a seminar on the end of the year report. No news on the state budget yet. They're still waiting any day now for the budget to drop. They are encouraged by the regional transportation, what the conference committees are looking at. So again, the reimbursement this year was 77%, and they're confident that it will be higher than that next year. So we should be looking good.
There you go. Thanks, Jim. All right, now we'll move on to the surplus revenue recommendations.
During the course of the whole process of scrubbing the numbers and going back and forth, Tom and I have been working together for the last 6 to 8 weeks on where we projected the numbers to be. Once I gave Tom numbers, he worked on the process of putting together some projects and how we can fund them. And in front of you, in your package, you have 8 motions to consider tonight as far as how to spend surplus revenue that we've identified for this year.
Okay. Thanks, Jim. And I'll go through each one. So I'll start with the first one. I ask for a motion to encumber.
Actually, you can't ask.
Oh,
Yeah, Jim.
oh,
Entities.
He can't make the motion.
You cannot make a
Right.
motion. He'll entertain.
Yeah,
Somebody else.
he could ask or entertain for,
Right.
yeah. But you're correct, Chris can't be listed as the one
Right.
making the primary motion. So you would be seeking a motion.
You could
from-
read them by saying, I entertain a motion.
okay. Thank you.
can't show up.
Okay, all right. I'll do that. I'm gonna entertain a motion for number 1 to encumber $1,096,538.23 of 2018-2019 non-residential tuition in order to reduce the 2019-2020 assessments to the district towns.
So moved. Second.
Second by Whitman.
This is the money that we received during this current school year from the out-of-district towns. And again, historically through the budget process, we take whatever's received this year and we apply it towards next year's budget to help reduce our 8 towns' assessments.
Okay. Any discussion on that? All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. All right, I'll entertain a motion to debit $8,844.44 to surplus revenue for warrants payable from the 2017-2018 budget.
So moved.
Motion made by Hanover, second by Situate.
This is a house cleaning item. Last year, at the end of the year, we had $8,000 worth of warrants payable, bills that were in the system that ended up getting canceled sometime over the summer. So therefore, this $8,000 was left there, and we never ended up spending the money. So we're adding to we're adding this back to surplus revenue.
Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? All right, thank you. I'll entertain a motion to debit $8,664.97 from surplus revenue for accrued salaries from the 2017-18 budget.
So moved.
Motion made by
Second.
Situate, second by Rockland. Any discussion? Jim, did you want?
Again, another house cleaning item. At the end of the year, we accrue the payroll that we anticipate spending over the summer. And again, the number was off by about a little over $8,000 on what we didn't spend on payroll items, mainly for some summer work that was done in the building.
Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? All right, thank you. Next one, number 4. Entertain a motion to encumber $594,000 from surplus revenue for safety and security expenses per the recommendation of the superintendent director per attached schedule.
You want to handle this?
So moved.
Motion made by Situate,
Second.
second by Whitman.
And Mr. Chairman, that's listed on my supplemental page. Most of those funds are going towards a security door project. Other funds going to address master facilities items with flooring, as well as funds for cafeteria freezer enhancements, basketball nets in the gymnasium, and some enhanced wiring for TV and other technology in the cafeteria.
Any discussion?
Yeah, Tom, I have one question. I believe Whitman Hanson just got a grant for
Yes.
some of that. Did we apply to?
Yes, Dan, as a matter of fact, I was going to mention that later, but the timing is better now.
Okay.
I am happy to report that we were also one of the school districts that applied for an office of, I believe it's Office of Safety and Security. It
Yeah.
came out of the executive branch. We applied several months ago, and we were fortunate enough to learn that we received a grant of a little over $78,000. With that money, we will be able to purchase the hardware for at least 9 doors to be able to replace them. And when I say replacing doors, I'm talking about doors that will now have security access with fobs. So that'll be part of a larger project. This grant sunsets at the end of December. And so with this appropriation, we would be able to purchase some of the hardware by December and then go out to bid for the rest of the project and tackle that later. So what a great opportunity, and the timing was, it was a little late, but still, the timing was good.
Would all faculty and staff, Tom, have those swabs?
Yeah, Bob.
Whenever they,
Absolutely right. The expectation is that we will not need to, we would be able to set staff fobs for certain windows of time. we'll be able to set them, for instance, on say, one of the exterior doors on the gymnasium that faces the east side of the building, so that if in the winter time we had a winter sports team that was going to practice on a weekend, we could make sure that the coach of that team has that access set for that individual person. So we can tailor it based on the employee and the window of time. And it's all tracked, of course.
But just make a point of that, why it's so essential is because that way you need to know who's in the building.
Yes.
In case of a problem or situation arises, you need to know where they're at.
Yeah. And so the timing of this grant, the timing of this appropriation, referencing our own master facilities plan, it fits perfectly.
Any more discussion? All in favor? Opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you. And just so you guys know, sorry, I should have said it before, but there was a page that has a little explanation for 4, 5, and 6 motion. I'll entertain a motion, number 5, to encumber $442,000 from surplus revenue for maintenance, building, and grounds expenses needs per the recommendation of the superintendent director, and that also was on the attached sheet.
Motion?
Second.
Motion made by Rockland, second by Whitman.
And again, Mr. Chairman, that's outlined on the form, but these are the estimated costs for us to be able to put lights on our main playing field.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you. Next, I'll entertain a motion for number 6 to encumber $26,000 from surplus revenue for purchase of a forklift, replacing the current 1975 machine.
Motion. 50 years old.
Motion made by Hanover, second by Abington. And
Mr. Chairman, we may have to keep it as a parting gift for a certain staff member in a few years. He's grown quite attached to this 1975 Datsun forklift. However, this district certainly got its money's worth out of the one we're looking to replace.
yeah, I would say
Thank
so.
you.
Too bad we couldn't get it at the same price.
This is true.
Question, is that a lease or is that a purchase?
That's a purchase.
Okay.
Any more discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Great, thank you. Motion carries. Next, I'll entertain a motion to debit $334,663.67 to surplus revenue for unexpected revenue and encumbrance from the 2017-2018 budget.
So move.
Motion made by Situate, second by Cohasset. Any discussion?
This is also a house cleaning item. As you did in the previous 2 motions, you've encumbered about a little over $1 million worth of funds for projects for next fiscal year. Last July's meeting, you also encumbered funds. And based upon circumstances, sometimes beyond our control, not all the money was spent that we encumbered last year. There were certain items on there, such as the greenhouse, which didn't cost as much as was encumbered. It was a climate control project. Again, we were able to save money and didn't spend as much as we encumbered. So this is housekeeping. This is rolling this in, the $334,000 into revenue, into surplus revenue, to pretty much get the old 2018 encumbrances off the books.
Big accident down the street.
Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Okay, thank you. Number 8, I'll entertain a motion to encumber $230,000 from surplus revenue for the payment against a debt resulting from a 2011 roof and window replacement project.
So moved.
Motion made by Whitman, second by Hanover.
Mr. Chairman, this will retire the debt.
That's an easy explanation.
This means
Nice.
that with the fiscal 20 appropriation already approved, combined with this motion here, it means that the debt will be paid off 2 years early. And it means that when we go to build our budget for fiscal 21, as of your affirmative vote, there will be a 0 in the debt service column.
Nice. Great.
Does that include the interest as well?
That will cover everything. Yeah.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I just like to say, Tom, this shows what we do as far as the school system, as far as protecting the towns, and saving the towns as much money as possible.
yeah.
You know, such as like the first motion of, the lowering the assessment, and this here, to pay, they have the money and pay it off. That's one of the reasons, I think we have no problem passing our budgets at our town meetings.
Thanks, Dan. Any more discussion? All in favor? Opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Chris, just one question, reverting back to that school clip, is that still inoperable? Is that still operable? The old forklift? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that going up to surplus now? Will that be available for surplus, or are you gonna keep that still?
Probably doesn't have to rush and put out to surplus. You can't get parts for that thing anymore, the transmission's still gonna, that's when it's going up.
I just question, that's all.
Why, buy one?
You never know, Dan, you never know.
Yeah, never know. Might have a use for it.
Doesn't meet the current ocean.
Make a nice mooring.
Jim, do you have anything else?
Nope.
Nothing? Okay. All right, I guess moves on to the chairman. We'll do our annual reorganization ballot. So I'll hand over the gavel to Tom, who will hand it over to Jim.
Goes all around. That's it. There you go.
All right, here we go. Most important 5 minutes of my life right here, every year. As you are aware, every July at the meeting, the board reorganizes, and as the secretary treasurer, I now run the meeting for the next 5 minutes. The process of reorganization, everybody was handed a folder a green folder with ballots. One set of ballots is for chairman, one set of ballots is for vice chairman. As has been done in the past, we pretty much entertain motions from the floor for chairman, and then look for a second of the motion. Once all the motions and seconds have been verbalized, at that point we go to the ballot. At that point, anybody who's been nominated for the chairmanship, you'll vote on the names that have been presented to you. Once the first ballot is done, the top 2 vote getters of that ballot will then go on to a second ballot. And then whoever has the majority of votes in the second ballot will become chairman for this 2019-2020 school year. So, and then we'll do that process again for the vice chairman. So at this point, I would entertain any motions for chairman for the 2019-2020 school
I
year.
make the motion, Mr. Amico, be our chairman.
Okay.
Second.
Second,
Okay. Fine. Do I have any other motions? Hearing none, I would like a motion to close nominations.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
With the motions closed and Mr. Amico being the only candidate, there is no reason to hold the ballots. So therefore, Mr. Amico
Save it for next year.
is yes, and we'll make sure all the names are spelled properly on the sheets of paper. So Mr. Amico is the chairman for the upcoming school year. Congratulations.
Thank you.
At this point, I'd like to entertain motions for vice chairman.
Make a motion for anybody but Hayward. I'm sorry.
No, that's
Bob
fine.
Hayward, sorry.
I'll second that.
Thanks, Robert.
We have a motion for
I know.
Bob Haywood as vice chairman. Do I hear any other nominations? Hearing no other nominations, I look for a motion to close nominations for vice
Second.
chairman, Situate and Whitman. Thank you. With no other candidates presented, Mr. Haywood is elected vice chairman for next school year. So, thank you very much, gentlemen. I'll turn this back over to Mr. Amico.
Thank you, Jim.
And thank you for your folders. I will collect them after the meeting.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, just a comment, if I could,
Sure.
just for the future. And congratulations to you two for continuing.
Thank you.
It would be, it's just my suggestion that in the future, yeah, if everybody staying 2 years is a great thing, but I think part of the experience of being on the board, I think if it was everybody's experience to at least go through the chairs one time each, I think that adds to the experience of being part of this board as well. And it has nothing to do with you, Bob, I'm just saying, just going forward. In order for somebody to go stay 2 or 3 years, you'd have to stay on the board 16, 20 years, you know, and, you know, it just for it to go through.
No, it's good
Just
to
as a
move it around.
suggestion, that's all.
No, good suggestion. It's good to move it around.
I'll comment on that. I believe it should be, we have to reorganize every July anyway, but I believe it should be up to the person running in, I believe, 2 years, because you just get your feet wet at the end of 1 year. So I see no problem in 2 years.
I agree.
And it takes, Chris is still learning. And I believe every one of us did it the same way. Sure, it may take a long time, but you have to do it in order to get the experience. Because you have to, if you have to wait every 8 years or every 10 years, if we have other people, you lose interest in it as well.
Thanks, Bob.
Just a comment.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks, Bob. All right, we'll move on to the subcommittee assignments. You should have a list, docket number 7, with all the subcommittees. If anybody wants to come off a subcommittee or go on another subcommittee, please let Tom know, and Tom will make sure he takes care of that for everybody. And now we'll move on to
Staff recognition.
staff recognition from Mr. Moorhead. Do I have to go stand up there? Good luck.
Yeah,
Really?
look official.
There's obviously
Speak into the mic.
there's no forklift in here, so.
It's a toy.
Had he known, he would have stopped by.
It could be the keys.
That would have been funny.
That
would have been funny.
Here it is.
All right, the South Shore Regional School Committee tonight says thank you to Bob Moorhead, Director of Buildings and Grounds. Taking care of an older building requires a special combination of managing staff, working with contractors, and coordinating multiple projects. South Shore is a growing school that wants the best education environment for its students and staff. Bob Moorhead and his staff are a huge reason why we are able to achieve the goal every day. On behalf of the school committee, thank you, Bob, for your hard work.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Music.
One thing
Music.
I'd just like to say, I've been really lucky over the last 15 years having this job. I do have a good staff that does the best they can for the district, but without the support of superintendent, treasurer, in this committee here, we wouldn't be able to do half of the things we do. I've been to a lot of meetings with the group I belong to, the Mass Facility Administrators, and there's always talk about the fighting the school committee, fighting the principal, fighting the superintendent to get fundings to do jobs that they want to do around their district. And I don't have that problem. And everything we do is a teamwork between this committee, the administration of this school, and it's all been for the better of South Shore District. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Anybody have any comments for Bob or anything before we move on? No?
I'd just like to say, Bob, that was a great move by the school here, stealing you from Hanover. You and I came on about the same time. And I don't think they ever recovered over there, but it was a good move for
And then
us.
we took Susan.
Yeah, yeah. And a couple others, but we won't get into that.
Great. Thanks, Bob.
Thanks, Bobby.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to the August school committee meeting. Under normal in the past, we've always canceled this meeting. I moved on till September, so if everybody is agreeable with that again, why break a tradition? Keep it going?
I'm all for it.
All right, great.
I'm all for taking the month
But you
off.
guys want to come, I mean,
See you in September.
see you in
See you in
September. Enjoy the
September.
rest of your summer. All right. Subcommittee, we have no subcommittee reports tonight, so we'll move it on to Tom, our Superintendent Director.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As I pointed out to you a few weeks ago in a memo outlining some of the projects that are ongoing, needless to say, we're making great strides in many areas in the building. If you have an opportunity this summer to walk the building, you'd see many projects on the move. Outside of the building, we are working on wrapping up the renovations to our barn, which is being used as of the start of next school year for both a locker room and for an outpost for our horticulture landscape program. So that's being buttoned up. Our greenhouse is fully constructed except for some small electrical work that our electrical students will be taking care of right when we get back to school, and then that will be fully functional. Inside the building, as you've heard me say for years, we are making very strategic moves to try to maximize the space that we have, because we can't grow it overnight, but we can make some creative efforts to shrink non-instructional space, making more room for kids. In our collision repair and automotive programs, we're reallocating some non-instructional storage space. Automotive has done a great job cutting their need for storage space almost in half. And so if you walked into our automotive program, don't walk too far because there's a bit of a dip where they used to have their teacher platform. But later this summer, we're going to be filling in an area with some concrete, and that's going to open up several square feet of great space, not only to showcase the program, but to allow students to spread out with additional projects. We're doing the same thing in Allied Health. Allied Health is a small shop by most standards, and it had an internal related room built into it, which we have found to be unnecessary and disruptive to the flow of what we want to accomplish in that program. So our staff did a great job, and they're buttoning that up. That'll look really nice. You certainly will see. It'll be much more open, allow for greater access for students to work on some hands-on skills. The flooring project is underway in our cafeteria and teachers' room. We abated that last week, and the flooring company will be coming in next week to work on that. We've also started a project where we're installing 2 pull-down grates at the far end of our cafeteria rather than have the doors and frosted windows. With the climate control project, it's my intent here is to allow for the hardworking folks on the other side of that wall to share in some of the climate control, and certainly creates some better depth to the entire footprint. Your appropriation of the funds tonight will allow me to bring you many other great project recommendations and updates as we go forward. I will mention that, as you may have heard me mention before, we are moving forward, starting in the week of July 29th, we'll start the field repair project, and that will be ongoing through the summer with the seeding of that area happening in September. So again, I thank you so much for all of your support. There are certainly other smaller projects that are underway. Every single thing that Bob oversees is for the betterment of students and staff, and this summer is no exception. So, Mr. Chairman, that's my summer projects update. Could I answer any questions for anyone before I move on to the next item?
Yeah, question, on the thing that we voted tonight on the reduction of next year's assessments to the town.
Yep.
Are we gonna send a notice to the towns of what their estimated reduction would be, just to show what we're doing and how we're doing that?
Jim, you can comment on this as well. What we would have done, Dan, is as part of the budget process when we went to finance committees, the column of the chart that we have a series of numbers in parentheses, that's the number that we were projecting. So when we went to the towns we went with that lowered assessment. There would be there's nothing stopping us from certainly commenting on that, but it would have been communicated back earlier this winter when we knew how many non-resident kids we had. We did the math and we apportioned it. So
It's just, just to show exactly how we run our school like a business.
Yes,
You know, and it just promotes South Shore Tech. That's what I'm doing.
yeah.
I actually have a stack of letters on my desk right now for the first, building for the first
Yeah.
assessment to all the rate towns, and I can revise that to include a notation. But as Tom mentioned, the column of our budget, it's like $8.8 million is the assessment we needed from our towns. But we were able to offset that $8.8 million with $1 million of non-residents, so we only charged our town $7.8 million. So that was in the budget process. That was all the meetings we went to at the finance committees to explain. We explained to all the finance committees and town managers who were present that process of how yes, there are students from other towns that come here, but it benefits financially our in-district towns. So.
This, I find one problem with reminding them too much of that they're of the mindset that we overestimate our budgets to give them back. That's, over the years, we've heard it so many times that you're padding the budget just to
Right.
give
Not
it
if
back.
we explain it, it's coming from out-of-district students. That's what they're coming from. I mean, there's a year that we may not have as many out-of-district. I remember years where we've had only a few.
Sure, 4 years ago
Yeah.
easily would have been a very low number. Yeah.
Right, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know,
But that out-of-district law changed also, Dan, that we're required to use that to further the education of those out-of-district students. And it's just, we're fortunate enough to have enough that we haven't had to do that, so we're giving it to the towns. And if they think that it's their right to get it back, that'll put us in trouble.
It is always within the power of this committee to decide how much of the non-resident tuition is in fact used to offset assessments. If there was an extraordinary need in the middle of a school year for us to access funds that we didn't have through our regular budget or our reserve account, the law would allow for that. We have not had to do that, but that is an option.
Plus the extra monies that we do get from out-of-district schools, we're putting back into the schools so we don't have to assess the towns.
Yes.
On capital items.
Absolutely.
That's another plus.
Okay. Textbook?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll just quickly add in before no, that's okay. I jotted this down at the start of the meeting. With us not meeting in August, I just want to mention a couple of dates in August, just as a FYI. We'll be holding our fall athlete parent and student information session on August 13th. Last year, our friends at Hanover Public Schools were kind enough to let us use their auditorium, and we've put in a similar request, and I see that going forward. It allows us to have the ability to comfortably seat every fall athlete and parents who would also be expected to join them. On August 20th, due to some projected inclement weather in June, we were planning to have a cookout for incoming 9th graders, and so we've rescheduled. We're not going to bill it as a cookout per se, but on August 20th, we are going to be inviting back members of the incoming freshman class to give them an opportunity to meet staff who might be available to come in, but more importantly, to do what we can to reduce whatever last-minute anxiety there might be about coming to a new school. So if I were coming to this event on August 20th, I'd be getting a copy of my schedule. It would be available online, but if I'm not familiar with PowerSchool yet, I'll get a copy of my schedule. I can go walk the building, see where those academic classes are. I'll know the first shop I'm going into for exploratory. I'll get to find my locker. So that's going to be on August 20th. And then our school year starts on August 27th. Along with that, Mr. Chairman, for the second month, we have a title from the English department, Where the Crawdads Sing. And that concludes my report.
Okay.
Tom, what was the first date?
First date, Tom, was August 13th, which is the MIAA Fall Parent Student Athlete Meeting.
What time is that?
That is, I'm going to double check this for you, but it's either 6 or 6:30. It's definitely an evening meeting, but I can confirm that.
And the August 20th, what time is that?
Guidance department has not set a time yet. They'll be doing an email blast very soon.
Just a point of that too, coming up, just to let you guys know, there's gonna be some scheduling changes due to the field project going on out there, so scheduling practices for some of the teams will not be held here. So you may have to answer those questions in your district of, they're being transported and things like that. just to let you guys know.
Yeah, we will have alternate sites for athletics, but that is true. Yeah.
Great. Thanks, Ron. Thanks, Tom. And we have no administrative reports tonight.
Oh, that's correct.
All right. Move on to new business. First up, superintendent evaluation. I ask for a motion to approve Tom's evaluation, which rates him as exemplary, did I say that right, in all standards.
I make the motion.
Motion
I'll
made by
second it.
Norwell, second by Whitman. Any discussion?
Yeah, can I read a statement I'd like to make?
Absolutely.
Tom, this is when Susan Rossi sent your evaluation form to us, and I went through the entire form, right? This is the answer that I sent back to, don't call me brother, no. Call me from Florida. This is the email I sent back to give to Chris. It says, yes, I wrote, yes, it's another year that Tom has rated himself lower than I have, what I would have. With the total success of our school and the increased student enrollment shows how the school has reached above and beyond for its students. This is to do with the professionalism of our complete staff and the leadership of Tom, that South Shore Votek has been most successful school system in Mass, my opinion, and I wanted that into the record.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Danny.
It's almost word for word from mine. Dan.
Yeah.
I just put down what Bob said.
All right, great. Move on to the student handbook.
Make a
Oh,
motion on that.
I didn't make a motion. I thought we already did. I'm sorry.
Motion second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I might, I want to thank you once again for your support. It is remarkably easy to do this job when we are surrounded with great people in this room and on our faculty and staff.
Well, it makes it easier when you underrate yourself. We can go up higher. And when you're higher.
I've raised
what
that,
are we
I
gonna
have
do?
raised that issue. I've given up, but thank you kindly.
Kind of like you do with the assessment.
I ask for a motion to approve the student handbook changes as listed by Mr. Aubrey's memo.
So moved.
Motion made by Situate, second by Whitman. Any discussion?
No.
Nope. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you. Motion carries. Next, surplus items.
I'll make a motion that we declare surplus all the items listed.
Second. Cohasset? Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you. Student support, oh, that's open, sorry. Warrants.
Warrants. Warrants number 25, 2300, 25A, 25B, 2500, 25.1, 25.2, 26, 26A, 26B, and 27, and a total of $1,648,248.36.
Second.
Second by Cohasset, Situate, sorry. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Passes?
You make longer numbers, Dan.
Thank you.
You know, I have no control over how they number those things.
Reminds me when they
Just
called up
revert
mess
back
duty in the
to-
army, y'all had a number.
Just revert back to the business, the school, is there any positions that we are empty, that we don't have anybody, since we're not meeting in August, is there anything that we?
Nothing that the committee would need to take action on. We are in the process of scheduling an interview for the vacant plumbing position in our HVAC program, which will happen next week.
I have a question. The students who presented their issues, complaints, what have you.
Yes.
How will we deal with that in the future? I understand we want it written. And where do we go from there?
Yeah. So the matters brought up in public comment are generally determined by the chair the chair would determine whether the matter is subject for this committee to review and take action on. Oftentimes, the matters that are brought up are matters that are referred to the superintendent to then refer to the appropriate administrator. That's likely to be the case in this situation here.
It seemed like an awful lot of comments from one party.
Yeah.
That's,
And it's a position where, because it would be an internal school matter, not a matter of policy, it would be inappropriate for me to, to expand on that.
Sure.
But it's a way to protect ourselves as a committee, so you don't get blindsided by just somebody coming in with that. Now there's a format in place for now that gives Tom administration, or if he feels it's something that we have to talk about, that we have that time now, that it can't be discussed or voted on. We just listen to and give him direction, period. That's all that's happened in the public forum. That's what the public forum was for, and I think it showed, and I think it's gonna work out fine.
Yeah. Great. Any requests for action? All right.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Made by Whitman, second by Rockland. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
We're done.
All right, thank you, motion carries.